She's like, even though I know I lead a really like low stress life overall right now, I know I did put myself through a ton of stress before. Is that the reason that my body XYZ or that I'm having a hard time now? Did I ruin things that I could only have one kid? Am I done now? Like, did I ruin my body? Right. And she's like, doing all that testing gave me so much peace of mind. It helped me really understand. It was a combination of all the tests.
Hey there, welcome to the Female Health Solution podcast, where we discuss women's health, hormones, and everything else in between. Join me as we dive into the tools that you need to live your healthiest life.
All right, guys, I'm going to tell you about Brie today. Brie is not her real name, but it's what we're going to call her. Brie is a gal I've been working with for over 6 months now. And I want to share a little bit about her story, her background, just to give you guys an insight into some of the things that we work on when we work together one-on-one. I get this question a lot when people are looking at other options in terms of, I don't know what to do with my health. I don't feel good. I don't feel like myself. I've tried certain things. I had appointments. I'm doing all this research on my own, and it's not really leading anywhere, and I'm not getting any results. I don't know what to do next. Where do I start? And what's the best path for me? So Brie was one of these gals, right? She is like so many other women I work with, brilliant, right? Has an advanced degree, right? Has a graduate degree, has an excellent job where she works not quite full time, but works in a lot of hours, right? But it's not very stressful. That's unusual. A lot of people have very stressful jobs. She's like, my life used to be very stressful. I really did change things. I've done a lot of things for my health, which is very common. And I'm trying to really work on a lot of aspects of my own health and body so my body functions better and I feel better. Yes. So she has a little family, right? She's been married for 7-ish years. She has a 3-year-old. I think she's 3 about there. Yeah. And what was interesting is that, Brie has always been very active. So she was an athlete in high school. She played club sports, in college and, got into doing fun runs. So she does some of the like mud runs and girls run and some of those fun things, right? She's like, I do some training for it. I have worked with a trainer on and off. I sometimes have races or will get into a race season and then not. So she's like, I'm not super intense with it right now. I haven't been. She's like, because I've been really trying to work on my hormone levels. She goes, of course, when I was training, I did go through seasons of life where I was training a lot more. I was in graduate school. I had a very stressful life. I was also working part time as a server. So, waitressing, doing things like that for extra money and to save up for her wedding, all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, but now I have this great job. I don't work late hours. We travel for fun. I got a great relationship. I have a wonderful husband. I've got this toddler. And she's like, I really want to have another baby. But it's been over a year and I haven't been able to have another baby. She's like, nothing was extraordinary with my first pregnancy. I wanted to get pregnant. We got pregnant. It was pretty easy, a great pregnancy, a low key birth, right? She's like, nothing that sticks out that why I would be having such a hard time now. She's like, I thought since it wasn't a big deal before, that it wouldn't be that big of a deal now. Like, what the heck? What's wrong with my body? And she's been trying for over a year, at the point that we started working together. She'd been trying for over a year on her own, doing all these other things, looking up and researching different supplements, um, doing different exercise programs, doing different lifestyle changes, right? Making sure she's getting really good sleep as much as possible with a toddler and a cat that will sometimes wake her up at night. But she's like, some of these things are not that big of a deal, right? She's like, I made these changes and she's like, they sort of helped, but I still felt like something was missing. I still felt like there's something going on where my body doesn't quite feel like my own. Yet, whatever changes I'm making, they're not coming across as well as they should. And I was like, okay, what else is going on? Like, right? Like, is there anything else? She's like, well, and I don't know. Um, if I'm going to have trouble having kids, she's like, I want to have more than one kid. She's like, we want to have like 3 or 4 kids. And this is really getting in the way of our family planning. She's like, we've been trying for over a year. I went into my OB. They didn't even draw blood. They didn't even do anything. I had to go back 3 times and ask to get some type of testing done. And then they just said, you're fine. Nothing's wrong. Just keep trying or just relax more because maybe you're just too stressed to get pregnant. Meh, you got pregnant fine before. It shouldn't be a problem. And she's like, none of it was helpful. And she's like, now I feel like the stress I'm having over this is actually getting in the way. This is where she was at when we started working together. When we dove in, so it doesn't sound like anything big, right? It doesn't sound like but she was like, yeah, I mean, I have some painful periods. They're kind of irregular. They're not too bad, right? Downplaying a lot of the things. But when we got into it, very painful cramps. She was having a lot of clotting. The irregularity was not great. So her ovulation timing was off month to month, which is really hard then to try and plan a pregnancy. So what we dove into was the gamut. I said, listen, it just depends on kind of how you want to start. I never pressure people. I never tell them you have to do this, right? It's your body, it's your life. I'm just going to say, hey, based on what you're saying, I would want to take a really deep look at all of these factors: your hormone test, your Dutch test, your gut health. I was like, because some of the things you're saying are also raising flags with your gut. Just like, yeah, it hasn't been great, but I just drink a bunch of Pepto-Bismol or something. I'm like, oh my God, that's not normal to drink a lot of Pepto every day to get through your day. That's not okay. That's not okay. Let's stop doing that. Um, and I said, I wonder if any of this has genetic markers because big events in your life, right? When we talk about genetics versus epigenetics, genetics is your DNA code. Epigenetics is the lifestyle things that turn certain factors on and off with the genetic code. So for example, maybe you're not a good methylator. Maybe you have MTHFR. Is that inherently a problem? No, if that genetic marker doesn't get activated. And I'm going to use that word just to make it simple for us to understand kind of how this works. So I'm breaking it down into a term to hopefully kind of let it sink in, right? Like you can have it, but if that marker is not turned on, if that switch is not flipped on, then it's not going to have a negative impact with your methylation. Your methylation should be fine. However, certain events, and this can include hormonal events. This can be being on a birth control. This can be giving birth. This can be stressful events or getting ill or something like that, right? Something happening, and then it switches that over. And all of a sudden, it turns off that methylation process because genetically, that's what you're set up to have. And you don't methylate well then that means like, oh, I got pregnant the first time and it was fine, but the second time or third time it's really rough and it's not happening for me well, and I'm really having a difficult time. Yep, right? It's that methylation factor that got changed. Yay. So you didn't do anything wrong. It just means that your system genetically has this set up code that you didn't realize got activated or down regulated, right? Like you were methylating okay and all of a sudden not methylating. And it's not something you knew you needed to focus on. And knowing your genetics helps us set things up for whenever life stuff happens for you. So, hold on, let me have some tea. So, Brie. So I talked to her about all these things and I said, listen, we can start slow if you want, and we can go through things a little bit at a time, and we can tiptoe forward. Or we can cannonball in the deep end and we can do all the testing. We can learn as much as we can about your body and uncover everything and say, here's what you have going on. Here's what you don't have going on. And here's the best place to go from here. What do you think? And she said, I don't want to wait anymore. I've already been trying for a year. And she's like, if we go slow, like what does the timeline look like? And I said, well, I mean, it could take, if we do testing one at a time and wait and space things out, it could take another 6 months to a year. And she goes, no, I want to know all of it. I said, okay, well, then we can know everything in weeks. So let's do that. So we dove in and she started working with me one on one. What that means is we did her Dutch testing. We did a cycle map as well to track that ovulation really accurately. And her ovulation was so late. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been trying to time things, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Yeah, that's not it." She had a Candida in her gut. That was some of the gut bloat issues where when we got rid of that, she was like, "Holy crap, I didn't realize my gut felt so terrible on a daily basis until it started feeling good." I was like, "Yeah, a lot of women are like this. You're busy, you're doing things, you've got life, you've got family, you're taking care of other people. And unless it's bad enough that it stops you in your tracks on a daily basis, you're going to keep plowing through and maybe not even think that it's a big symptom or something that needs to be addressed." But again, when we're talking about fertility, when we're talking about having your body be its optimal health to create another human being, we have to look at all these things to make sure we're not overlooking a dang thing. And then looking at her genetic test, yep, methylation issues, inflammation issues that we had to address, all of it. So, one of the big pieces of the puzzle that we needed to find out right away, well, there were several big pieces. We found out right away and we started really going after it. It wasn't very long before her period started changing, improving, timing, pain and clots and all that other stuff started going down. Her mood started getting better, tons more energy, right? And this is just a couple months in. And she was like, "I am like losing weight," right? And that was another thing where she was like, "Well, it's not a big deal, but I'm, 15, 20 pounds of fluff that I'd like to lose, because when I get pregnant, I'm going to gain, 35, 40 pounds. That's what I did with my first, but I don't want to have an extra 15 or 20 when I start." And I was like, totally understandable. So she just started to slim down naturally with all of the stuff that we were working on. And then the other thing that started to become really fun is because of her genetic testing and we started working on the inflammation and methylation. She's like, "I feel amazing." Like started feeling way, way, way better than she had in a really, really, really long time. There was another little when we got her GI map back and started diving into the Candida. Sometimes when you go through Candida stuff and there's die off, ooh, that can be rough. Like you just don't feel good. You just don't feel good. Yeah. So there is that. But other than that, it was over the course of 6 months of us working together, we retested everything else. Amazing positive changes that we saw with her testing, with her symptoms, with her energy levels, with her physical results coming through her period, everything. And at the end of 6 months, I was like, how you doing?" Like, she's like, "This is incredible. I literally feel," she's like, "I literally feel like Wonder Woman. Like my body, I can tell when things are happening. I know when I feel good. I know if I don't feel good, I know exactly what it's linked to, all this stuff." And she's like, "I am totally confident now that I can get pregnant." Because she had put that on pause for a little while because it was becoming really stressful for her to try and track, to try and do all these things. She's like, "Maybe I sound crazy, but I swear I can feel when I ovulate now." And I was like, "Hey, with that decrease in inflammation and everything, and now that you're 12 pounds lighter, right? Without, I mean, and honestly, we were not trying, we were not doing a ton of like weight loss technique things to just try and get her to drop weight, right?" And she's like, "Oh, I feel incredible. This is fantastic." And then it wasn't that long after that where she got pregnant naturally on her own. And that was it. So these are the things where the amazing thing about understanding your body is that you know where to go, right? This is someone who, again, a brilliant gal, brilliant. And I can't emphasize this enough. Women that I work with, they're not dummies. They're not trying. They're not like lazy and just, "Oh, I hope that it's going to be better next month." No, they're actively trying things. They're doing research. They come across things, whether it be on social media or reading books or listening to podcasts or whatever it is, trying so hard. What is going to be the thing? What is going to be the thing for me? Now, I will say this because of the research, sometimes this can get you into a little bit of hot water because she was taking a supplement where I was like, "Okay, according to your Dutch test, like, stop taking that. Stop taking this. You're actually decreasing these hormone levels that you have that we want them to be elevated. Those are getting lower. Stop taking this," right? It was inositol, in case you're wondering. She was having lower testosterone, and she was like, "I've been taking it, though it helped initially." I was like, "Right, but you took it too long. You took it too long, and now your testosterone's low. That's why your body's having a hard time with libido and stamina and all these other things." So, yes, it does help boost progesterone, but it also can decrease your testosterone. So we don't want that. There's other ways to boost your progesterone. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't know anybody who skins cats, but there's a lot of different ways that we can help boost these hormone levels. And for some people, inositol is fantastic and the right fit, and for other people, it is not. So that was one of the things. Again, doing some research on her own, I was like, yeah, stop taking that. It might have been right at the first time you were taking it, but now it's not the right thing to take. We're going to switch and do these other things that are right for your system. And she just noticed, like, month after month after month, physical improvement, health improvement, mood improvement, hormone improvement, all of it, all of it. And then from there, right? From there, just being able to get pregnant on her own. So that's where she's at right now. Um, yeah. And she's like, this is incredible. And we're still working together. She just, wants to make sure there's a different level of working together that we have. And she wants to make sure that things still go well moving forward. I said, absolutely. Because then the other thing is that she wants to have, again, at least 3 or 4 kids. So after having Babe, all this stuff, doing testing again, seeing when it's right for her system, making sure she's not nutrient depleted and everything else, to keep that going so that she can have the family she wants when she wants and not have to wait and not be stuck and not be lost and not be told again and again, "Oh, you're fine. You got time, right? Oh, you're only 32. You still have a lot of time, blah, 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 blah. It's not that urgent." And she's like, "It's urgent for me. It's urgent for me. I want to be able to have kids." And so that was the level that got her the answers, got her the assistance, and got her back on track. And it was so funny. Our last time that we chatted, as we were checking in together, she was so funny. Um, she was like, "I just can't thank you enough for like going at the speed that I wanted to go at." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "'Cause I mean, everybody else was like, oh, let's start here, let's start small or whatever." She's like, "I don't want to start small." She's like, I want to do this. I know I can make things happen." She's like, "Even though I know I lead a really like low stress life overall right now, I know I did put myself through a ton of stress before. Is that the reason that my body XYZ, or that I'm having a hard time now? Did I ruin things that I could only have one kid? Am I done now? Like, did I ruin my body?" Right? And she's like, doing all that testing gave me so much peace of mind. It helped me really understand. It was a combination of all the tests. The Dutch test to see where her hormones really were at, what was really happening, especially that cycle map, to be like, "You are not ovulating when you think you are ovulating. That is not what's happening here." The GI map, and she's like, "I really didn't think I had issues with my gut." And I was like, "I know so many people think that," right? And then the genetic test, and that was such an eye opener again because she blamed herself for so much. And I said, again, getting all the results, within weeks versus waiting and waiting and waiting and hoping that what we're going to do is going to make a difference. We have everything laid out there. We have all the cheat codes. We have all of the answers right there. All we do then is create a customized path for you so that 6 months later, your whole system is functioning the way that it should. And then anywhere you want to take it is up to you. Now, not everybody has the goal of like getting pregnant or having another baby or something like that, right? You might have a different goal of, I really want the stamina, or I have this life change happening, or my marriage is in trouble, right? I have this huge issue in my relationship and I don't know if it's me or if it's my spouse, but everybody's at a different place, right? Everybody's at a different place. And I've worked with women that are life changes are happening. They feel like they got passed over for promotions, or they are separated from their husband and they feel like physical garbage and their mindset is all over the place and all these other things. And going through and diving into the testing that we do, the support that we have, the guidance we have, and the specific recommendations, that way it weeds everything else out. It takes all that mental guesswork out of it. That way you're not wasting your time researching or wondering or spending money on supplements that are either a repeat of something you're already doing or completely unnecessary. I've done it too, right? Before I started doing testing myself, I used to just buy supplements based on what the bottle said. Oh, this boosts energy. Oh, this helps with mental clarity. There's like 30 different ways you can help with mental clarity, right? What one is right for you and what one to apply when is so important. And are these things that you should be on forever, right? I'm not someone who believes that you should always be on supplements forever and ever and ever. They're a tool to use to get your system back on track. And once your system is on track, you just support it there. So, if this is helpful for you, if hearing Bree's story has been helpful, if you are stuck yourself, or if you've been stuck for a while, I mean, go in the links, right? You know where the links are. Click that link, learn more about how we work together one on one. At this type of a level, you are going to get full support. You are not going to get the runaround. You are going to be given the appropriate amount of testing and the right guidance through this, right? Things don't change overnight, but if you have been stuck and struggling for an extended period of time and you're like, I'm done. I don't want to waste my time anymore. I don't want to waste any more money on stuff that maybe isn't going to work or maybe isn't the right thing for me, then this is the right place to start right here. And we only apply things that are right for you. So thank you for tuning in, you guys. Thank you for being here. And thank you for listening to Bree's story. Again, Bree's not her real name. um, but I do help a lot of women with different facets. And our playbook, right, is never the same because it's all based on what you specifically need. So we find that out by doing testing, and you find out how to get started right here in these links. Fill out that info and we'll get in touch with you. All right. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you later. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. If you would like more information, just head on over to drbethwesty.com for all the show notes and information from today's episode. And if you're looking for more community, more support, you can find and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and I would love to see you there.